Hello everyone, a pleasant day to all of you. We are the first group to report and we are going to discuss the chapter 3 of ethics, which is the human act. And I am Jemrick C. Pahayay and I'll be discussing the meaning of human act.
So, for the learning outcomes, we should be able to explain the meaning of human act, morality, and accountability of human act. Not all acts of the human person as a moral agent are considered human act. Some may be classified as acts of man.
Not all actions we do as humans are considered human acts in the moral sense. Some are just basic acts of man. And this lesson will explain the difference plus what factors make a true human act right and or wrong morally.
So, let's proceed to the definition of human act. A human act is an act on which an individual can make a conscious decision whether or not to carry out that act.
A human act basically any action you do where you have the power to think it over and decide, yes, I'll do this or no, I won't do it. It's not something that just happens automatically. It is a choice you are fully aware of and also kontrolado nimo. And it involves our minds and free will. Just for example, you decided to tell the truth to a friend even if it's really hard. Well, you consciously weigh the options and you chose one.
So here is the difference between human act and act of human. So first we have the human act. A human act are those of which a man is master, which he has the power of doing or not doing as he pleases, as according to Coppens 2017. And in the words of Panizo 1964, human acts are those acts which proceed from man as a rational being.
So, as what I've said earlier, human acts are basically actions that you are fully control and choose to do or not do because you are thinking and deciding like a rational person. They're not just any reflexes or instinct. They came from your deliberate will and reason. And according to Panizo 1964, human acts are the things you do as a smart, thinking human, not like an animal reacting on autopilot. For example, observing a prescribed diet. You decided every day to eat a certain food, knowing it's good for your health. Yes, it's a choice, not something your body does on its own. Next, tutoring slow learners. When we are tutoring, we choose to spend our time helping other learners to learn out of kindness and duty. And it is intentional. And lastly, preparing for board exams. We study and plan because we want to succeed. And it's not random, it's deliberate effort.
And on the other hand, we have here the acts of man. Actions where merely happen in the body or through the body without the awareness of the mind or the control of the will are not human acts but merely acts of man.
Acts of man are basically automatic or instinctive things that happen in your body without you thinking about it and or even choosing to do it. They're not human acts because your mind and free will are not involved. They're just occur naturally as part of how our body works, and these are unconscious or involuntary actions. And our brain might not even notice it. For example, breathing. Yes, when we are breathing, our lungs keep going in and out to keep us alive. Number 2, blinking. Our eyelids close and open automatically to protect our eyes and we don't even plan it. 3, dilation of the eyes. 4, perspiring. Our body sweats to cool down when it's very hot. And Lastly, we have jerking of the knee.
Good day, everyone. I will now continue our topic, and my report is about the determinants of the morality of human acts. As a human being, dili tanan nga atong gibuhat kay automatic good or bad. So kinahanglan nato tan-awon ang certain factors to know if an act is truly moral. So according to Rave Coppens SJ, there are three determinants of morality: the object of the act, the end or purpose, and the circumstances. So this is summarized in the saying bonum ex etigra causa, malum ex concomitant defecto, which meaning is an act is good only if it is wholly good, but if it has even one defect, it becomes bad. In other words, when we judge if a human act is good or bad, dili lang nato tan-awon ang act mismo. Apil sad ang ilahang purpose or intention sa nagbuhat o ang palibot nga situation, which is ang circumstances. So now, let's start with the first determinant, the object of the act. The object of the act is unsa ang act mismo. So, the first determinant is the object of the act or simply what is done. So, this refers to the act itself. Example, going, eating, and praising. So, some acts are good in themselves, like praising God. And some acts are bad in themselves, like blasphemy or stealing. But some acts are indifferent or neutral, like eating. Pero it can become good if done moderately, or bad if sobra or gluttony. So, example, if you tell the truth, din ang object nato ana is good. That is moral. Pero if you cheat in the exam, ang atong object naman is bad. It is immoral or no matter what reason is. Next is the end or purpose. Ang iyahang tumong or intention sa nagbuhat. So it is the second determinant is which means the intention or of the person. So bisan pa unsa ka maayo ang act kung daotan ang intention, then the whole act becomes bad. So example, to pray is good, pero kung ang imong intention ana is para magpanghambog, it becomes bad. Pero kung imong tumong or purpose is sincere, like helping a neighbor because of love of God, then ang atong dominance ana is good or moral. So ang atong important reminder is diri is a good intention can never justify a bad act. Example, Sir Robin Hood stole from the rich to give to the poor. So his purpose was noble. Pero since ang iyang act itself is stealing, it is makonsider siya as immoral or bad. Circumstances, which is ang palibot nga situation. So the third determinant is the circumstances. These are the conditions around the act, like time, place, person, and situation. Circumstances can make an act better or worse. So example, giving water to a thirsty man is good. So, pero kung ang imuhang gihatag kay alcohol to a drunkard, then it becomes bad tungod sa iyahang circumstances. So, the morality of the act depends not only on what you do, or wala siya gadepensa, ang gadepensya sa unsa imong gibuhat o nganong imong gibuhat, but also on when, where, and how you do it. To conclude, for an act to be good, all three dominant must be good. But if there's one act is bad, then the whole act becomes bad. This shows us that in life, dili lang importante kung unsa ang atong gibuhat, but also why we do it and in what situation. So, that ends my report. Thank you for listening.
Let's proceed the lesson 2, which is accountability of human act. When I perform a free acts, one which I am able to do or not to do as a choice to act is evidently imputable to me. So, ito daw is not a right kung mubuhat basin unsa free ta mubuhat sa itong mga actions, and then if the things is worthy, the blames belongs to me. So if ever na nabuhat nga mga sayo, then ang ato ra kong self ang atong decision, because like makabuhat kag dili maayo, then makakuha Japan kasi makagalingan nga lugar makonsensya ka, then we need, so I am entitled to praise every human act. Therefore, since it is an frame act, is importable to him who performs it. So depende, so ikaw may kadala sa self, depende nimo if unsaon nimo pag perform simong actions nga dili ka makapasakit og ubang sa ubang nga tao. So unsaon nimo siya pag anong behavior, imong attitudes nga sa pagpakita nimo sa uban. Then to whom are we accountable? For violation of government laws, people are held accountable directly to the government and indirectly to the people. How about a violation of moral standard? So if nakinabot ni sayop, and then lagi kay pananagutan sa government or sa other people sa atong isig katao. And then there are 3 bases of moral accountability. So first, which is knowledge, and the second is freedom, and the third one is voluntarism. So when we say knowledge, the awareness of familiarity with the fact, situation, or truth unveiled through experience or disclosed in a dialogue or encountered with a person or things. So akong example ni nga situation is na isa ka jeepney driver nga namasada. So ato nga time is wala siya kabalo nga ang iyang nobela is naguba, and then sa kalagitnaan silang pagbiyahe nabangga sila kay tungod wala na brake or wala na kuha ang iyang manobela. And then pagkabangga niya syempre murag nakuyawan ng isa ka jeepney driver, and then wala siya ga-expect nga mo to yung mahitabo dito sa dalan kay kung sa siya una nga wala masad siya dili masad tutumong nga maning ato ang ilang mahitabo kay wala siya ga-expect nga sira or daot yung nobela. And then when it comes to morality, wala siya. So that's why we need to be genuine knowledge or kabalo ka kung unsa imong dapat buhaton, maging wise ka sa paraan na dapat kana nga situation is imo na siyang masulbad na dapat o kung sa may sakto dapat mo tugan. And then katapos siya nga experience ko is ato na siyang modalita dagang kita, there's a lot of experience nga nahitabo na siya, and then i-apply na to sa atong kagalingon nga kung sa man ang sakto mo nang dapat atong sundon. And that's why mo na siyang first 3 types of moral accountability by mental conditions or ignorance. So wala man siya ga-expect, no? So sa iyong kagalingon is wala siya pananagutan or wala siya kuan sa tao, for example, wala siya bitaw siya kanang wala siya pananagutan sa moral because wala mo niya natuyo. And then may tag unless kung nakabalo to siya to nga naguba tong manabela di kapadayon na siya pun sa pamasahe, and then nagito siya tulubagon muna siya ang diri sa knowledge. Dapat genuine knowledge. Your mind must be normal, not
Okay, do
impaired.
you have any idea what is freedom? Freedom is the act is freely done. This happens when you can exercise your power of choices. If the act you intended to do is a choice between stealing or not stealing, then you must have the freedom to choose which to do. Your freedom should not be impaired by an irresistible force or uncontrollable fear. So it states here, freedom is control mo imo nga choice, like may power ka to make your own decisions nga free ka gid kag wala ka may kag even though miga sul sa imo, but may own decisions kagad. It depends on you kung mapati ka bala sa amo na kay syempre may free ka. It's free to choose kung sino ang patihan mo kay amo na may freedom ka gani. Example, voting in an election, citizens freely select their leader. If the act you intended to choose is testifying as to your personal knowledge, what you saw, heard, and etc., you should be free to do so without being subjected to uncontrollable fear of being silenced by death. Another example sa freedom is ang thesis ta subong sa country ta. May freedom ta nga mag-choose kung sinong patihan ta. Maupod ta bala rally or hindi, mapahimuyong ta sa balay, o kung ma-intra-intra man ta to, di ba? Amo na, di ba? Basta gani wala may ga-force sa imo, it means may freedom ta gid nga mag-choose sa imo nga decisions. Make your own decision gani nga may freedom ka gid. The next is voluntariness. Act must be intentional or negligent. An act is voluntarily intended when it is done with the aim, purpose, or goal of attaining a result. An act is negligent when it is done voluntarily but without care or precaution in avoiding the happening of a forcible event. And sa diri naman, ang giho is intentional kag wala na di panundom sang iban nga circumstances na matabo sa ila. Example is stealing is immoral. To be liable for this immoral act, you must do it knowing that it is immoral. Another one is side sweeping, a pedestrian causing his death is immoral. Ari naman niya, may freedom naman siya na free to do whatever you want man, pero sa voluntariness naman niya is intention mo gid nga, like for example mangawat ka, kay intention mo mangawat ka. Kag ang pareho naman sa driver nga nakainom ka while drive ka, nakainom ka alcohol, intention mo man na like amo man na like for example wala ka lisensya, kabalo ka man nga hindi pwede mag-drive or bawal mag-drive nga wala ka lisensya, pero ginhimo mo gid ginhungod mo man kay intention mo man nga ubrahon ang butang nga mo na, di ba? Do gi-volunteer mo yourself to do such things freely.
First, we need to define what is modifiers. Modifiers, these are the changes that can be effects of human act. Then human act is an action that are properties human. The wealth of consent of knowledge of action must be present. One must freely use his or her intellect of free will when acting. In short, kailangan may knowledge, freedom, and voluntaries. These are analogous to exempting, mitigating, aggravating, and justifying circumstances in criminal law. They affect the mental or emotional state of a person to the extent that voluntaries involved in an act is either increased or decreased. Panezzo, 1964. They are as follows. First, ignorance, passions, fear, and violence. First, ignorance. So first, we need to know the difference between ignorance and innocence. So, ang ignorance is the absence of knowledge in a person who is required to know what he does not know. For example, as you are a teenager and then you don't know how to cook rice, and then kailangan nimo mabalaan because as your age dapat makabalo na jud ka na mo luto og kanon. So sa innocence naman, it is an absence of knowledge in a person does not require to know what he doesn't know. For example, as 2 years old nga bata, no dili gyud na siya required nga makabalo siya og mulungag. So these are various degree in ignorance, and ethics classifies them invincible, affected, supine, or gross ignorance. So when we say vincible can be overcome. Example, you don't know how to boil an egg, no? But by your observing of your parents ka always nga galuto og itlog, no? Then by observing you learn. Then invincible when it cannot be overcome by the due amount of diligence. Dili ka makakuan kung sa kuan pa you don't know something, then you can't conquer or overcome. Did you na siya ma-change? And gross or supine when scarcely an effort has been made to remove it. Ineffective is if a person deliberately avoids enlightenment in order to sin more freely.
So next, we have passions. Passions refers to positive emotions like love, desire, delight, hope, and bravery, and negative emotions like hatred, horror, sadness, despair, fear, and anger. So passions means strong emotions that we feel. It can be positive like love, courage, or joy. And it can also be negative like fear, anger, or sadness. There are two kinds of passions. First, antecedent passions. So antecedent passions, those that precede that act, do not always destroy voluntariness, but they diminish accountability for the resultant act. So, antecedent passions happen before the act. So, example, when someone suddenly gets anger before thinking and he slaps another person, his freedom is still there, but his responsibility is lessened because the anger comes first. And then, next is consequent passions. So, consequent passions are those that are intentionally aroused and kept. They do not lessen voluntariness, but may increase accountability. So, consequent passions are emotions that are kept or continue. So, example, a person who keeps his anger and plans revenge, and his freedom is still there, but his accountability becomes greater because he chooses to keep the feeling. So that is consequence passions. So next is we have fear. It's the disturbance of the mind of a person due to impending danger or harm to himself or loved ones. Acts done with fear is voluntary, but acts done because of intense or uncontrollable fear or panic are involuntary. So fear is a disturbance of our minds because of possible danger to ourselves or to our loved ones. So, example, a student studies hard because of fear of failing. So, this is action is voluntary because even if there is fear, the student still decided to study. During an earthquake, a person runs away in panic and pushes others without thinking. So this action is involuntary because the fear was so strong that he lost control of his actions. So that is involuntary. So next is violence. Violence refers to any physical force exerted on a person by another free agents for the purpose of compelling said person to act against his will. So violence is the use of physical force by one person to make another do something against his will. So this removes the freedom of the victim. So example, when a thief points a gun at a person and forces him to give money, the act of giving money is not free. So the victim did not want to give it, but was forced through violence. This means the victim is morally accountable because his freedom was taken away. So that is a violence. So next is moral accountability for what could have been. So it is termed as sin of omissions. So whatever one fails to do, but which should have been done, is also imputable to him. This refers to failure to act despite knowledge of being free. Therefore, different from lack of negligence or foresight. It is intentionally not doing the same thing. When one has done it, it is failing to act as a good Samaritan when one acts as such. Example, Pilate had the case of Jesus Christ investigated in him. Found innocent, he could have set Jesus free, but he did not. Without holding information, could have prevented a disaster. So moral accountability for what have been. So this means failing do what should have been done. It is called the sin of omissions. So example, a doctor sees a patient who need help but refuses to assist even though he can. This is omissions because he did not do what was right even if he was free to act. So Pilate know that Jesus was innocent, but he chose not to free him. This shows responsibility for not doing what should have been done. So a person knows important informations that could prevent an accident but hides it. He is morally accountable because he failed to act when he should have. So moral accountability is not only about what we do, but also about what we fail to do. Sometimes the greatest responsibility lies in the actions we did not take. That is why it is important to always do what is right and we have the chance. So that's all.